Welcome back to the BettorOff Propcast for the Week 13 matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the New Orleans Saints. As always, I am Dan Skodlowski. Joined with me, as always, our esteemed colleague, hat wearer, beard rocker, grill master, parlay hitter, Mr. PropHolliday. Prop, how you doing? How do you feel about going into this another Thursday night game with the Cowboys? Another they're back-to-back Thursday night games for the Saints. How do you feel about this game, kind of just looking at it before we dive deep into it?
I feel great after the greatest introduction I've ever received on a podcast in history. The Grill Master nod was nice. No, man, we talked about it before. I think a majority of these primetime games this season, for lack of a better term, sucked. I mean, 75% of them, whether it's Sunday night, Monday night, or Thursday night, have come off unwatchable. I'm optimistic. I'm very optimistic about this week's game with the Saints and with the Cowboys. And partially it's because we're going to see there's a lot of uncertainty going into it. Taysom Hill expected to kind of take over this Saints offense after stalling these last 4 weeks under Trevor Siemian. I think they averaged something like 20 points per game over the last four. That is not what the Saints want to see. And then with the Cowboys, it's injuries. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is expected to play, but he's been on the injury report. Amari Cooper, is he on or off the COVID list? We don't know. He's a big factor in this offense. But I am optimistic that we're going to get a watchable Thursday night football game.
Wow, what a treat. What a treat that would be. Yeah, I think it's a big game for the I mean, there are obviously question marks surrounding both of these teams, but I think especially for the Cowboys, I think this is going to be a big game to determine whether they're in a slide or whether they are not the team we thought they were going to be, just flat out. Because
And they're 1-3 over the
yeah,
last four. So they are kind of tipping the scales of and honestly, we're seeing a lot of teams hit this kind of skid later in the season. We saw the Bills lose to the Jags. My Rams are 0-3 over the last three. The Cowboys are struggling. So these top teams through the first 8 weeks of the season, we thought we had the Super Bowl pegged. And things are getting shaken up. So I don't know if it's the length of the season. I don't know if it's COVID related, but there's been a lot of parity this season, which has been enjoyable, I would say, just as a sports fan. Not knowing what you're going to get every week has been fun to watch.
yeah. So the Cowboys obviously are still leading the NFC East. The dumpster fire of the NFC East. They are at 7-4, and they are 2 games clear still. So they still got time to hang on to that and increase that lead. And they currently sit obviously as the worst of the division winners in the 4 seed in the NFC playoff picture right now. The Saints, they're 10th in the playoff picture on the NFC side right now. But the good news for the Saints is they're 5-6. As is the 9 and 8 and 7 seed currently in the NFC. So they also control their destiny. It's a good year to be an NFC team. The Washington football team is currently in a playoff spot as the 7 seed in the NFC. And I mean, teams that are 5-6 or have 5 wins in the NFC: Washington, Minnesota, Atlanta, New Orleans, Philadelphia, and Carolina. So the Saints are by no means out of the playoff picture. So this is going to be a big game for both sides. Like we said, the Cowboys are 1-3 in their last 4. I think this is a big week for them to say, like, are we sliding because of injury? Are we sliding because we're just hitting the dog days of the season, or is there something fundamentally missing if we want to be a contender for NFC Championship, Super Bowl, whatever? The Saints are just looking to get back into their winning ways. I believe they are currently 3rd in the NFC South, just above the Panthers. They are half a game up on the Panthers, who are 5-7. So not a great season for them. But like we said, just signed Taysom Hill to that giant contract. He's supposed to be coming back. Hopefully that'll light some fire on the team. But like you said, I agree. I think this could be a very good game. So we have the spread currently Dallas -4.5, and they're -205 on the money line. New Orleans +172 on the money line. The over/under is at 47.5, which is pretty commonplace. They're not expecting anything too crazy on the lines. But gosh, we've seen Thursday night games be under 32 or 25 or whatever. So the Cowboys, like we said, they're 0-2 on Thursday games. Last week, they, for lack of a better term, kind of I thought they had it pretty pegged against the Raiders last week when they scored late and tied it up, but they found another way to lose at home on Thanksgiving. So I wonder if that's going to play a part too. Like, do they have a fire lit under them? Do the Saints have a fire lit under them because Taysom Hill's back and they're still in it, regardless of being 5-6? They're still control their own destiny to get to the postseason. So I do think this is going to be an interesting game as well. So let's go ahead and get into the betting. We're going to start out, as always, if you don't know about the Propcast Parlay, come on, you got to get on board with the Propcast Parlay. I'll go through it again, but I got to stop doing this because you got to already know by now. So what's going to happen is we're going to build a 3-leg parlay. Leg number 1 is going to be a leg that I give. Leg number 2 is going to be a leg that PropHolliday gives. And leg number 3 is going to be picked by you guys on our Twitter page. We're going to place a $25 bet on the parlay. And if the parlay wins, you can win by just retweeting and following the BettorOff Twitter on our page. So super simple. Get on that. I mean, we got the greatest minds in sports betting probably to ever exist between us two. You guys have done a great job. We've given out a bunch of money this year in promotions, so we don't mind giving it to you. So just get on board with that. So with that, we're going to give our legs that we're going to be putting on the Propcast Parlay. So I'm going to go first. I'm going to save the best for last, as always. So I like, now I'm riding off a bit of a high off of last week's tight end parlay. I had a 3-leg parlay that had Hawkinson and Schultz and Knox all scoring on Thanksgiving. That hit. I am a tight end fiend for betting, and I'm riding high on this right now. And this is a heat check for me. I'm gonna stick with Dalton Schultz touchdown plus 165. I do expect. I mean, Dak to throw 2 touchdowns, I believe last time I checked, was like minus 210 or like minus 200. So it is very likely that he's going to throw 2 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb coming back off of missing the last game. I think that he is going to get, and this is going to play into later into my parlay as well, he is going to get obviously the majority of the coverage in the pass game. And so I think that's going to open up a couple of other different passing options for Dak and Dalton Schultz. Classic tight end. Love him in the red zone. So I am going to stick with Dalton Schultz at plus 165. And nothing like sprinkling a little plus odds on the Propcast Parlay. Make sure you guys win even more money. Make it a little bit more interesting. Make it a little bit more profitable. So Dalton Schultz touchdown is my leg prop. What is your favorite single play?
So I'm going a little bit more conservative. I'm actually going to the defensive side of the ball. So for a defensive player prop, going with Keanu Neal over 7.5 tackles plus assists. It's minus 140 over on Caesars. I think it's minus 145 over on DraftKings, not up on FanDuel yet. So Neal has played 100% of the snaps. He played 100% of the snaps last game, 94% of the snaps the game before. Those were 2 very run-heavy situations. It was against Kansas City and it was against the Las Vegas Raiders. So he's getting in on more of a more running downs. Now, if we go to 2020, when Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, coached the Falcons, Keanu Neal saw 99% of the snaps and 90% of the snaps against the Saints with Taysom Hill starting at quarterback. Neal has the ability to help against run support and then also spy on Taysom Hill when he goes and bootlegs. He had 8 tackles and 7 tackles last season against this Saints offense with Taysom Hill at quarterback. I think he's going to be a key contributor on defense stopping the Saints. I think he's going to be on the field probably 90% of the time. So this is a combination of solo tackles, assisted tackles. We are going to see, I think, a run-heavy offense in general, whether that be Kamara and Ingram or just Ingram. That's how the Saints win this game. They control the clock. They run the ball, whether that be Taysom Hill or anyone out of the backfield. And that bodes well for Keanu Neal getting it on tackles. So over 7.5 tackles and assists. It is minus 140. It is a bit juicy, but I love the play. I'm putting 1.5 units on it on my end.
All right, you heard it here first. Defensive plays. I think that's the first time we've had a defensive play in the Propcast parlay. So maybe that's what we've been missing. So I'm excited to see that play out. So let's go into the bread and butter of the Propcast parlay, the same game parlay. So I'm gonna go first. I have a 5-leg parlay plus 6,000. So it's gonna be 10 to win $610, which for us is a bit conservative. So we're starting out. I went back and forth with this one. It's been a long time since I've taken just a team straight up on the money line. And this game was, if I'm going to take a team straight up on the money line, maybe this wasn't the best one to do, but I said whatever. So I'm going to take Dallas on the money line at minus 205. It was minus 210. I've seen the line a couple different places. I ended up placing this on Barstool, so I got them at minus 205. I do think that the narrative of them, like, this is, if they lose this game, it is panic time in Dallas, and I don't think after the start to the season that they had, that they don't want to get anywhere close to panic time. It is going to be tough playing in New Orleans on primetime, Taysom Hill back in the dome, but I think that they got CeeDee Lamb back. They're still missing Amari Cooper, it looks like, and so it's not the most sure bet that I've ever taken, but I do like Dallas on the money line at minus 205. So with that, has got to be some Dallas touchdowns because they got to score touchdowns to win this game. So I have 2 touchdown scorers from Dallas, and they're both receivers. We got Lamb at plus 117 and Gallup at plus 200. Like I said earlier, I think Gallup, when I was talking about the Schultz TD, I think Lamb is going to get blanketed by New Orleans. And I think that Gallup has an opportunity to kind of cash in on that opportunity and grab a touchdown for himself. But even though CeeDee Lamb is getting blanketed, I do think that he is still CeeDee Lamb, and he can also still score a touchdown, even in double coverage, triple coverage even. He's an absolute monster. So I like CeeDee Lamb plus 117 to score a touchdown, and Michael Gallup plus 200 to score a touchdown. Those are my 2 touchdown score legs from the Dallas Cowboys. I also have a third touchdown scorer, is going to be Taysom Hill at plus 235. I mean, after giving him this extension and his first game back, the Superdome is going to be absolutely begging for Taysom Hill to score a touchdown. And at plus 235, I've seen it as low as plus 150, but I grabbed it at plus 235 on Barstool. So I have to throw that in there. And I mean, I'll be rooting for it regardless of whether I bet on it or not. I would love to see Taysom Hill come back and make this game close and him score a touchdown. And that would be great. But it's even better when you got money on it and you win something on it. So Taysom Hill plus 235. And then my final leg of the parlay is going to be Dalton Schultz. Still riding with Dalton Schultz, but we're just going to go with his over, which I found at 42.5. I also see it 43.5. It might be moving up a little bit, but I got it 42.5 at minus 118. So let this be a lesson to everybody on why you should have multiple sports books, if you can, and shop around your lines before you place your bets. So I have, when I first looked at this parlay and I first put them in, I usually use Caesars. So I went and I put them in on Caesars, and my odds were plus 4,500 for the whole parlay. And I said, wait, let me shop around. Let me make sure that I'm getting the best deal for this parlay. I go and I put it on Barstool and their parlay plus same games, and it's plus 6,000 now, right? Like I said, Taysom Hill touchdown on Caesars was plus 150, but on Barstool, it's plus 235. That is a huge difference, especially when you're putting it in a parlay. It's going to absolutely shoot those odds up. Everything was better. Schultz was, instead of over 43.5 on Caesars, he was 42.5 on Barstool, and the odds were better at minus 118. So make sure you shop around if you have multiple accounts. If you don't have multiple accounts, but you can, I would definitely recommend opening another one, whether you're FanDuel DraftKings, FanDuel Caesars, DraftKings, Barstool, as many as you can, to make sure you're getting the best possible lines for your bets, because the legs that I'm picking aren't changing, but the money's getting higher. So definitely shop around for your lines before you place your bets, because you could be going from 10 to win 450 to 10 to win 600, and you're placing the same bets, actually better bets, and you're getting high payout. So that's just my spiel for what I think everybody should be doing as bettors, just shopping around, making sure you have all of the lines exactly how you want them. All right, Bob, what do you got for us for your same game parlay?
So I'm over on Caesars, which is a little more flexible with what you can same game parlay. You can add the Keanu Neal play that I talked about before, but I have a 4-legger. It's 30 to 1. I'm going to put $25 on it, pays 750. So it is the Keanu Neal piece over 7.5 tackles and assists. I do like the under. It kind of plays into the fact that there are going to be a lot of run heavy. It's going to be very run heavy from the Saints offense. If you go to the other side of the ball, the Saints defense is actually one of the better red zone defenses in the NFL as far as allowing touchdowns. So it's going to be tough for them to punch it in with Zeke and with Tony Pollard. So 47.5 seemed a little bit high for me. I have this around 21-17, 23-20, something along those lines. Going over to a kicking prop. So defense and kicking prop. I'm all over the place. Greg Zuerlein, kicker for the Cowboys, over 7.5 total kicking points. 2 field goals, 2 extra points. 3 field goals plays into that red zone defense of the Saints we talked about and keeps it lower scoring, which kind of is the game script I'm on. So Greg Zuerlein over 7.5 kicking points. Keanu Neal over 7.5 tackles and assists. Under 47.5. And then a touchdown score because you have to have one if you're doing a same game parlay. And I'm on Michael Gallup. I think Amari Cooper does not play this week. There's questions about him going on the COVID list. It is very detrimental to that offense playing into the under. But Michael Gallup is someone who saw 10 targets 2 weeks ago, 8 targets last week, 5 receptions each time. This Saints defense is this Saints secondary, a little bit more of a gambler, not as good as a passing defense, very good as a rush defense. And they try to make gamble splash plays. And I think that's where Michael Gallup can eventually get one in the end zone. So Gallup is my solo TD score. It's 4 legs. It's 25 to pay 750. And it's random. I will call it random with a defense, a kicker, an under, and a touchdown score. But I do feel good about it in a game that we have a lot of data on. We know this Dan Quinn defense has coached against Taysom Hill in this Saints offense, and we've seen what it looks like. It looks like a lot of rush attempts. It looks like controlling the clock. And then the questions about Cooper really put question marks around the Cowboys offense. So I'm on a 4-legger. It still pays decent, and I feel pretty damn good about it.
Yeah, this is going to be the PropHolliday hitting for the cycle parlay. We got kicker, we got defense, we got touchdown, and we got total. So maybe this is going to be the new trend. I am super excited to see how that plays out. So you got my parlay, you got props parlay. Make sure to check out the Propcast parlay posted on Twitter this afternoon. Make sure to check that out and retweet that and follow to make sure that if we win, you can win. And that's going to do it for us. So for PropHolliday, I'm Dan Skandlowski. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. Make sure to download the BettorOff app and put your picks in. And until next time, thanks for watching.
Thank you, guys. Take care.